Well, Australians are spending more on domestic travel than before the pandemic, with more than $10 billion pouring in during October alone. International travel is also bouncing back. Joining me to tell us more about what's expected this summer, including some advice for you at airports, Australian Airports Association CEO James Goodwin. Thanks for your time. Interesting on some of these trends. So we're still spending so much money domestically. We can travel though. Are people just sort of thinking, well, our own backyard's pretty good now? Have lifetime trends changed a bit for some people, do you think?
Yeah, morning, Tom. Look, it's going to be a busy period, and that's really exciting. I think that's exciting that people have the confidence to be able to travel, be able to visit their friends and relatives, take a holiday if they're able to. And this will be the first Christmas without any border restrictions. So that's a really good signal both to society, the community and the economy, and particularly the aviation and tourism sectors, that the recovery's in sight. So that's really positive news.
Yeah, and not only they're not there now, they're not going to happen, right? There's no premier about to go back to that. On the downside, airport strikes. We did see one recently, and so many stories about baggage. We saw those pictures recently of some interesting techniques for baggage handlers. Is that looming this summer, do you think? More strikes possible?
There's still some workforce issues, like the entire economy. We are trying desperately to fill all of those positions. Airports have worked hard to try and make sure that those positions are filled. We've filled a lot of them, but we know that there are still some shortages, particularly perhaps in the ground handling, the baggage handling areas. And if anybody's after a job, then certainly there's a long career in the aviation sector if people are after that. But look, most of those industrial relations issues have been sorted out, and that's really good to see that they've been resolved behind those closed doors and they haven't started impacting travel or tourism. So that's really encouraging to see that people have put in that effort and make sure they've been resolved before they've impacted on passengers.
For people trying to book and having a look, prices certainly seem to be up anecdotally. Some things I'm looking at, gee, that's expensive. Is it just a lack of capacity still, and airlines able to charge through the roof because the capacity can't meet the demand?
Certainly airfares are high, and that's disappointing because we want people to have that confidence to be able to travel. Yes, there's some impact from fuel prices, but we're also seeing capacity. One of the issues with improving reliability was airlines were reducing capacity because we were seeing high absentee rates and so on. So they were reducing capacity, and that's pushed up those prices. The ACCC is aware of this, and they've said only very recently that they'll be monitoring this to make sure that there is no price gouging. So we'd like to see the capacity increase over the Christmas period, and we've got those signals that they look like they will be increasing. So that's good news for consumers, but certainly we'd urge the ACCC to keep monitoring those prices.
How does it measure price gouging? Is it a case of the airlines have their normal methods? You know, if you buy the first whatever number seats of the plane, it should be at this price and it goes up, and whether they just say, oh, actually you're selling these same seats in order twice the price what you normally do, and therefore that's gouging. How is that proven, if you like? It's
certainly complex, and it is competition is good, and we would like to see more competition. We've got those signals that Bonza will be starting in the new year, and that's good for competition. We've got more routes flying now than what we did pre-pandemic, so that is also encouraging as well to increase that competition. But it is complex, and we really urge that the ACCC should continue their airline monitoring next year, because that's very important. They don't always do that, but they introduced that during the COVID period, and would like to see that continue, because that's very important to make sure that people are getting a fair price and that they're not disadvantaged, because not all air travel is about holidays. A lot of air travel is actually about, you've got to go and see mum and dad, you've got to go and see that sick relative, you've got to go to that education, you get to university, or those medical flights. So very important that we have that connectivity.
I noticed, Rex pushing into that domestic market around competition. So clearly it saw some money to be made, and seems to be undercutting and doing pretty well, I must say, from my experiences. Bit of an intriguing release from the AFP. Don't be on the naughty list this Christmas. And I saw you mentioning this. What's happening here?
Probably
not as a naughty person, I should add.
Hopefully I'm on Santa's good list. But look, the issue here is we've seen that there are really too many incidences of unruly and disruptive passengers. I think too many people drinking a bit too much before they get on that flight, people getting annoyed and frustrated with some of those queues and the wait times and so on. Look, we know that and we understand those frustrations, but don't take any of those frustrations out on any of the staff. And there are some real consequences. The AFP will certainly will intervene, and you can be placed on a banned list. That can really be something that you don't want to do. My message would be, don't be the one that spoils Christmas. Don't spoil it for yourself, don't spoil it for your family, and don't spoil it for perhaps those other 200 people on that flight by taking out any frustrations.
So when you get that really bad bit of service, what do? You pen a furious email to customer service, talk to the CEO, see how far it goes up, because there's sometimes that need to go, this is really bad, someone should know this.
Yeah, absolutely, and feedback is very important, but understand why that issue might be happening and understand who can deal with it. If it can't be dealt with by that person on the check-in counter or the security line or on the flight, then take it up somewhere else. But certainly we want to do
30 seconds, best travel hack?
Best travel hack, look, careful what you wrap for presents. If a toy gun could look like a gun going through security, so just be careful what you're wrapping before you go through security.
Maybe check it in. James Goodwin, thanks for your time.
Thanks, Tom.